everybody tonight. I am Coco Huff for CocoHuff.com, COCOHOUGH, where we talk about everything in and about the kitchen, including so far 28 delicious classic dishes that we've been doing over the past couple months, more than a couple months since last September. And talking about how to break them down, how to make them easier, how to learn the techniques so that you can make them in your own home. And tonight we are making Steakhouse classic side dishes, which I put out on Instagram and Facebook this week asking for your favorites, and there were so many that we couldn't do them all, but we are doing 3 of them tonight that were the top contenders. So we are making tonight creamed spinach, which is one of my absolute favorites, garlic and horseradish mashed potatoes. We had a lot of mashed potato requests, so some for garlic, some for horseradish. I thought, why not just do that all together? That will be delicious. And some roasted asparagus with lemon and tarragon. So I think this is going to be a more than one-time occasion since we had so many. I got a lot of like sad face messages that I didn't choose other people's requests. So I've already written down the next top 3: onion rings, roasted Brussels sprouts, and mushrooms, which I also love. So we'll do another one. We'll make maybe a filet mignon and make those to go with it another time. And we had a request for lobster mac and cheese, so I think we have to do that at some point too. So this has filled our schedule now for a while to come. Hello David P, how are you? I'm glad you're here. So anyone who's out there, and I will say this hopefully again, hi Teresa, let me know that you're here. Send me your comments, send me your questions. I love to chat with you while we cook and answer any questions you have, or just talk about food and ideas and anything like that. So speaking of which, Teresa is here. Teresa sent me a picture of something she made from a past live stream and gave me permission to share. I have 2 people's food to share today. So first of all, can we do like some emojis for Teresa? This is so beautiful. This is Teresa's gnocchi that she made from the live stream. And I think it just turned out absolutely beautifully. It has that light quality that we talked about, and Teresa, thank you for sharing that with me. And also Denise sent me, we talked about it last week, but now I have the picture. It's her crepes, with a cherry sauce and a ricotta filling, chocolate sauce, and whipped cream. So that inspires me to ask you, yay, everyone's saying hooray, David's saying hooray, Teresa and Denise, thank you. I said before, I love your pictures, but if you wouldn't mind my sharing them, I've received some in the past too. People made roasted chicken and all that, so I would love to start sharing those with everyone. So, okay, we have a lot to do. I actually had to write down, because I have only 2 burners here, I had to make this chart, like what to do first, which burner, so it says counter, burner 1, burner 2, oven, and like what's going on when. But the truth is none of these recipes are difficult. We're just doing 4 of them at once. So, which I think just also brings up the point that if you were doing this for a dinner party, there's not as much make ahead here, but it's not that complicated overall. There's nothing done ahead right now. And we're going to complete this in an hour, hopefully, fingers crossed. Teresa says, the recipe was so easy to follow. Thank you. It was just my dad. This was the episode about gnocchi with my dad, and he has mastered the techniques over the years, and he does make it easy to follow. So that was just an awesome one. We've gotten so much good feedback about it, and I'm so glad you liked it. So I'm just salting this New York strip steak. We're going to cook it in a little while, but I'll let the salt sort of work its magic there before we do it. And yeah, just chat with me as we go. A little pepper. I love a New York strip steak. It has a nice, let's get a close-up of this actually, a nice amount of marbling in it. This has a bone in it, so we'll cut around that. But most of this fat will render away and just keep it very tender and delicious in the end. Oh, I hope you can see me. I think I'm having the same, I don't know if it's a Facebook issue. We're pretty stable on this end, but it says video interrupted. So stay with me if that does happen. I will still be here till the end. Okay, so besides the steak, it almost looks like we have nothing here, but we have our potatoes, which we're going to start with. And then all of our asparagus. The asparagus is the star of that dish, and behind me just an absolute ton of spinach. So really this is all very healthy. They're all vegetable dishes, and we're going to make 3 delicious things out of this. So like we do every time we've worked with potatoes, we start with the boiling of the potatoes, whoops, because that's going to take the longest. So I'm cutting them into a fairly small size, like golf ball-ish size, and we'll put them in water. We do this more efficiently, in half, and then these have been scrubbed and then sliced so that they cook quickly while we're doing other things. And then we're going to use our ricer. You could use a masher and get some other flavors in there too. So if anyone has some favorite, so when you go to a steakhouse, first of all, I love a steakhouse. I used to always have a martini, a dirty martini. You know, there's so many other things besides steak too that we haven't even touched on, a crab salad, lobster salad. But typically when you order your steak, everything is a la carte, meaning that the side dishes are totally separate, which I'm sure everybody here has experienced. So let's get these in the pot with some salt. So you really have your choice, and usually it's for sharing with the table, and the ones we're doing are 3 of the classics that I love. A steakhouse just always feels kind of a little fancy, it's nice, it's usually a little dark, you know, such a nice place to be. So when we can all go to restaurants again, I intend to go to one. So I'm covering these with water. Enough to cover it, and then putting them on this burner on high, and a little bit of salt. That was a lot of salt actually. And then I do this normally actually. I put some garlic cloves in the potatoes to boil with them, which does 2 things. First of all, it mellows that strong garlicky flavor, so it's a little bit more mild, a little bit more spread throughout the dish. And then it also softens the garlic cloves the way like roasted garlic would be, although not as rich. And then when you rice the potatoes, the garlic cloves get riced right along with them. So they basically get like mashed into the potatoes. So I'm going to do, these are big garlic cloves. I'll do 3 of those. They're big and they're strong. So where was I going with my steakhouse explanation? I was going to say, if there's anything that you love that I haven't even mentioned yet, tell me, because there's just a plethora of ideas there. Okay, and then cut off this like woodsy end of the garlic clove. I don't have my compost bowl, I'm just going to throw everything over here. And then throw those right in with the potatoes. Maybe I'll slice them a little bit. Okay, so that's got to get going. I'm going to disappear for a second and find a lid to put on that. It's not the right one, but it'll do the job. That just helps keep the heat in so the potatoes come up quickly and we're not here all day. Okay, next job, we're going to steam our spinach. So last week we worked with frozen spinach to make our spinach confita. This week we're starting with fresh spinach. You could use frozen spinach. I'd say a 10-ounce pack of frozen spinach is usually equivalent to a pound of fresh baby spinach. So let me show you what a pound of fresh baby spinach, we're doing 2 pounds. This is 1 pound. I couldn't even fit the other one in the bowl. I mean, it's beautiful. It's going to cook down to nothing. So I just want a small amount of water in this pan. Because if you were watching last week, you'll see a lot of water comes out of the spinach, but I just don't want to burn it on the bottom of the pan. So we're basically trying to mostly steam it. And all of this and all of the other pound, my blender's in the way, okay, are going into this pan. This pan's not quite hot yet. So if you don't have a pan big enough, just do it in batches and that will work too, which we might have to do actually. And then we're going to do the same thing we did last week, which was squeeze the spinach out. You don't want all that moisture. So whether you're using frozen or fresh, you have to squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. And the easiest way to do that is with your hands. You can also put it in a strainer, like push it into the strainer with a spoon. Maybe we'll try that. Or a spatula. Okay, we are going to have to do this in batches. Let me uncover. This cover goes on this big pan, actually. So I'm moving it so our spinach will cook faster. And let me find another one. Oh, I got disorganized about the covers. This one will do. All right, everything is covered up. Okay, so we have our spinach steaming, first batch at least. You'll see it will go quickly. It will kind of wilt down. We'll pull it out. We'll put the rest in. And we have our potatoes cooking. And now we're going to talk about our asparagus. So this is the perfect time of year for asparagus. They're so beautiful. Let me pull this bunch out. So look how gorgeous they are. They're very fine and green and, you know, nice and firm and not too thick, which is really my favorite kind. So when they're like this, I call them pencil asparagus, first of all. And they're just much more tender. So you find this in the spring mostly. So if they're thicker than this, don't despair. You, first of all, always cut off this woodsy end, and in a thicker one, it just might be more of that. And if they're really thick and a little tough, you can peel this end with your peeler as well. So you can still have a delicious asparagus. So the method, the official method for getting rid of this tough part is to just see where it naturally breaks and snap it. So that part is the tough part and this is the good part. Sometimes, let me just do a few, well this one's a little wimpy. All right, we'll do a few like that and then I think we'll just cut the rest where, see they seem to be about the same, where they are breaking naturally. A little longer. You just don't want to lose too much of it, but it's still the best way. Let the asparagus tell you. I'm going to kind of line them up gently. No, I don't want to do that. How are we going to do it? Line them up this way. It's close enough. And cut them where those two shorter ones were. And then if you see anything that looks tough still, just, you know, cut that off too. So this looks pretty accurate. I mean, that part you wouldn't want to eat. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then this one is kind of wilty. There are two like that. So I would save this end. You know, you can save that end and make asparagus soup or whatever. Just steam them along with everything else. The part that's still nice and firm. Okay, those look great. And I'm going to get them onto a sheet pan. So we're roasting these asparagus. And the reason for that is to concentrate the flavors and get a little bit of caramelization on them, as opposed to steaming or boiling them. I think asparagus have a beautiful flavor, but it's even better when it's concentrated a little bit, like the moisture has been cooked out by roasting as opposed to steaming or boiling. And in a pan can be very nice too. So the first part's very easy, just the asparagus. They've been washed, they've been trimmed. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil and some salt. And then that's it. And then we'll have a little dressing for them later and they'll be beautiful and crisp. And then these are going into a 425-degree oven for 12 minutes. So this will happen very quickly. Just tossing them with that salt and olive oil, and then spread them out the way we always do when we want something to caramelize, so they're not touching each other too much. You don't have to be too fussy, but like not all piled together, because they will just start to steam and they won't get brown. So hopefully this is going to happen the way we expect, and they'll be brown but still crisp, you know, not too wilted in 12 minutes. So this is going into my oven over there because it doesn't make as much noise. This one is so noisy. I love it. It's convenient, but it's hard with the video. So I'm going over here into the 425-degree oven. You can't see that oven, but I'm going to interrupt myself to show you this. My brother has seen this. This is a little replica of the oven that I bought online because I just had to have it. So this made me very happy. As you all know, I mean, I've been talking mostly food, and I keep saying I'm going to talk kitchens, but designing kitchens is my main work. And this has just inspired me to, like, I want to make miniatures of my kitchens now, but I don't really have time for that. But anyway, it's so cute. That goes up here. That's where our asparagus are. So how's everyone doing? Stacy says yum to the asparagus. Thank you. It does look, it's just so good. It's so fresh. It's spring. I'm setting a little timer. Set a timer for 11 minutes. We don't want to overdo it. I'd rather have the asparagus
11 minutes and counting.
Undercooked than overcooked. That will be good. Okay, so my schedule that I wrote out is not going to work quite as planned because we have 2 batches of spinach. So let's just see how this is going. The ones on the bottom are wilted. I think we can put the other pound in now because there's room. Yeah, you can see it's already cooked down by about half, and it's been maybe 2 minutes so far. So I don't like to do this out of a plastic container on the show, but I had no place to put all of this. So we're putting the other pound of spinach on top. And cooking that down. So if nothing else, I mean, this is obviously so good, and we're adding butter and cream and all that, but it's also very healthy. It's a healthy dish. 2 pounds of spinach. It's a good way to get your kids to eat spinach. Okay. Cover that back up. I think this is up to temperature now, so it's going to steam quickly. Okay. So since we're waiting, let's see, I was going to make the dressing for the asparagus later, but we'll do that, we'll start that now. So basically, we are having a lemon tarragon Dijon vinaigrette, but it will be hot to room temperature. Asparagus is great room temperature too. And we're going to zest our lemon as well. So this has been washed. It still has its little sticker though. And I'm going to, David says it's so cute. I think you mean the stove, my little stove, right? Isn't it adorable? I belong to this little miniatures group on Facebook of all interiors, and it's just so cute. So the workmanship and the craftsmanship and the creativity are so wonderful. So it brings me happiness. But okay, so we're zesting our lemon. This is my microplane. I'm also going to use this later for the nutmeg. And I'm just zesting this lemon. The zest will taste delicious, and it will look really pretty on top of the asparagus. Okay, so I'll put this to the side. Let's see, I'm gonna put it right here actually for now. And then we'll juice our lemon into this bowl. I just love these fresh spring flavors. Oh, I meant to tell you, I have another picture too. I feel like, you know, there were a lot of the early videos. I had chives and rosemary and things from my garden. And then it was winter and everything was buried under the snow, and it felt like forever. But the chives are already back. It just, now it feels like it went very quickly. So I just went out a few minutes ago and got chives, and here's what they're looking like. They've grown so much already that I'm kind of in awe. And I haven't even cleaned out the garden beds yet, but they're there, and we're going to put some on top of our mashed potatoes, and they're beautiful, and that makes me happy. And it's also, if you're starting an herb garden, that is the one to grow because they take no maintenance. They come back on their own. You can harvest them several times in the year, and it's so easy, which is really my cup of tea in terms of gardening. So there are a couple people who come on this live stream who are really good gardeners, so they're probably laughing like Charlotte. I don't know if you're here right now. All right, I'm adding like a teaspoon of Dijon mustard to this lemon juice. There's already olive oil on the asparagus, so I'll hold off on that for now. And then we'll chop some tarragon. That's going to go kind of with the zest on top, almost like a gremolata, which is sometimes herbs and orange zest on top of a steak. Also beautiful. So my tarragon is here. So I'm doing this early, but we may just be standing around waiting for the steak later then. But this is tarragon. Tarragon also makes me think of spring, and it has a slight anise flavor to it. Very slight, but so delicious. So it has a woody stem. I'm just going to pull these leaves off the woody stem. Those have been washed as well. It's like a mild black jelly bean flavor. And before we chop that, I have to check on our spinach because now I can smell it. All right, let's take a look over here. Oh yeah, now our spinach is rocking and rolling. So you can see it turned dark green. It wilted way down. Okay. And we didn't need more water than that. Like if we boiled it in a ton of water, it would be so waterlogged it would take us forever, and the nutrients would also be gone. So like any vegetable, steaming it is healthier than boiling it, where all the nutrients disappear. Okay, we're going to move the spinach into our colander so that it can cool a little, and then we can squeeze it out. Let's do that. So let's recap where we are so far. We have our potatoes boiling for our garlic horseradish mashed potatoes. We have our spinach steamed already. What did I do with that big bowl? What did I do with that? Here it is. Our spinach is steamed for our creamed spinach, and our asparagus are in the oven. So we've come pretty far here. I keep leaving you for utensils. I think I underestimated how many utensils I needed today. All right, and then we want to get the liquid out of this. So this spinach. So I have a strainer here. Everything is boiling away. And you can see, I mean, the result right now is similar to it's a little bit fresher because it's fresh. But I do love frozen vegetables. I mean, they pick them at the height of freshness and preserve them, so that works too. Okay, so that huge amount of spinach that was filling this bowl twice has come down to this much, which is pretty amazing. And let me just pour the rest in here. All right, that's very hot, so we're going to wait a minute. And we can actually, am I frozen? I really don't know why that's happening, but I hope you're all still there. We're going to start pushing this through actually a little bit. I don't know why this happens, but it seems to be part of the name of the game, but maybe there are more things I need to learn. With my little Ethernet studio in here. 3 of you are back. Thank you. Nothing's happened since you left except the timer went off for the asparagus. So eventually I'll stitch these 2 videos together and everything will be fine, right? So let me do that. Let me get the asparagus out of this oven over here. Oh my God, they look good. All right. Move it. I'm all steamed up. Okay, if you just take a quick look at these, we're gonna let them cool a little bit, but you can see, let's see how they are. They are perfect. They're a little bit soft, but they're not like totally drooping. Oh, I don't know why it's just not connected that well, but we're gonna keep trying. They're perfectly cooked. All right, and then we're gonna toss them with our vinaigrette in a little while. I'm gonna place them over here. Okay. I'm wondering who's out there and if you can still see me. It says it's been interrupted again. We're gonna do our best. Okay. Over here, potatoes. Let's see how those are doing. They're boiling away as well. Those are soft. They just fell apart. They need a few more minutes. Okay. So while those are continuing to boil, we're going to make our bechamel for our cream spinach, which means, like we've done before, butter, flour to thicken, and then cream and milk, and a little bit of nutmeg, and some salt and white pepper, or regular pepper, because you won't see it with all the spinach. So let's start with half a stick of butter. And this is just, I mean, we've done it 3 times already on these videos. It's just a good recipe to have like in your back pocket if you're making mac and cheese, if you're making cream spinach, if you're making, you know, a topping for any stuffed vegetable like we did before. It works on all of those things. And if you just sort of have it down, you can do it all the time. So that was half a stick of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, and we're just going to whisk this together until the butter melts. Okay, like that. And then we have our milk over here. Actually, I have 2 things of milk. That's for the cream spinach. This is for the bechamel. And then I have some cream that's also for both things. So we're going to, there's a lot of goodness going in here. Okay, so let's whisk our butter flour again. All right, that's the burner making some noise. Once it's hot and the flour has been incorporated and cooked in the fat a little bit, you want to start adding your milk. So we're going to add a little bit at a time and whisk. And it immediately will start to thicken up more than it did with just the flour. And then you put a little bit more and whisk. And every time it just gets smooth and creamy, and then you add a little more and just keep adding your milk, and then we're going to add our cream. So it's a half a cup of each. And you can see where this is going. This is the cream part of the creamed spinach, right? So we're going to have this rich, creamy sauce. That was the milk, and now I'm adding some cream as well. And then we'll let it kind of just keep whisking and let it thicken on this burner. Okay. So, how's everyone doing out there? This is a whole new stream now, so I think you're probably the same people who were here before. we are not. We are making creamed spinach, garlic, and horseradish mashed potatoes, and a roasted asparagus, perfect spring with tarragon lemon sauce. I think it's all going to be delicious. And I always order creamed spinach in a steakhouse, I have to say. That's my favorite, And then if you're on a date, you're always like, do I have spinach in my teeth? You know, it's a little bit like those little pieces of spinach can get you. Okay, a little more cream. You can see this is, Teresa's laughing, it's true. This is thickening up nicely. So look how pretty that is. All right, I'm gonna lower the heat, especially because we're on this electric burner, and put a little salt in there. We want our creamed spinach to have enough salt, and we'll taste it later as well. I'm using black pepper. You will not see it. If you're usually a bechamel would have white pepper. Oh, my chives are all escaping. And we'll whisk that in. Okay, and then we'll set this aside for a second and deal with our spinach. All right, how are all of our vegetables doing? Let's deal with our potatoes, actually. Now we're gonna rice our potatoes, and we'll come back to the spinach. Our spinach is kind of draining back here, so more moisture comes out and cooling so that I can squeeze it a little better. It's always these ambitious weeks, and I'm like, I need every item in my kitchen. I need my, what are these called? My trivets, my spatulas, it's a lot of stuff. All right, and since we have that off the burner, I'm going to heat this pan for our steak too. We can't do steakhouse with no steak, and that will cook really quickly. So heating that, this is just a totally naked stainless steel pan. You could use cast iron, you could use carbon steel. Try not to use non-stick, which we're going for a strong browned crust on that steak, and non-stick doesn't make as much of one. Okay, am I spinning around in circles today? All right, we're taking the cover off of our potatoes and straining them into the sink. So let's just look at them first. So if you squeeze, oh yeah, I'm sure you saw that. I just gave it a gentle squeeze with my tongs and they fell apart. So we'll have no trouble ricing those potatoes. There's nothing worse when you just think your grip strength isn't even strong enough to rice your potatoes. Okay. Into the sink. So we have our potatoes, we have our garlic, all going in there. All right. Okay, I think I just love this task. It's one of those repetitive tasks that you can just sort of relax and hang out while you're ricing your potatoes. And like I said, a masher is perfectly fine too, if that's, it will just give a slightly more textured end product. So we have our ricer. Anyone who's been here has seen me do this, but if you have not, you just take your potato, we leave the peels on, or the skins on, because the ricer will just push the potato right out of its skin. Usually the skins stick to this top, so you don't even have to deal with them. You know, if they start to stick in the bottom, then you just use a fork to get them out of there. And this does give the creamiest texture of mashed potatoes. I probably won't do all of these right now. It's quite a lot. But let's see how we're going. This was 4 big potatoes. Okay. And 4 big garlic cloves too, which will make it really good. maybe 2 more for now. There's some peel at the bottom, so we'll take that out. All right, I think our video quality improved. Is that correct? Can everybody sort of hear me a little better? Let's see, I don't want to jinx myself. Okay, ricing potatoes. It's good. It is good for your grip strength, actually. I'll do 1 more. And then if we were doing all of them, and when I do, I'll do all of them, I'm putting 3 big tablespoons of horseradish in there too. So that will be delicious. Those are good already. Look how fluffy they are. But it does kind of mush down to nothing, but just so we're not standing here forever, I will do less of them. Sorry, I forgot what I was doing. I put all the peels in my mouth. They're really good though. But this has a nice garlic flavor already. Oh, Mia says it sounds and looks great, and then it immediately interrupted. I jinxed myself. Hopefully it will come back. Okay, thank you, Mia. So, we have the garlic, we have the salt, we're adding cream. Maybe about, this was only half, so like a 1/4 cup of cream, a 1/4 stick of butter. I'm gonna let that melt, and a little bit of milk. I like my potatoes to be very creamy and very soft so that you can kind of spoon them on the plate. I think it looks very nice. And here is our fresh horseradish, well not fresh, but prepared horseradish, which I just love. I love that spicy, like just fresh smell that it has. So let's put half of that in there. Since we're doing half, but the total amount was 3 big tablespoons. And of course you can adjust it how you like. So if you like more, and I think I wrote down who asked for this actually. Did I write it down? I made a spreadsheet of who asked for what and where. So I think it was Kelly that said horseradish mashed potatoes, and someone else said garlic, and someone else said. So I was like, well, we're going to do all of the above. Okay, and we're just stirring until the butter melts and the cream is incorporated and the horseradish. Oh my God, those look really good. Those look really good. See what I mean about like kind of, they're loose, they're not too stiff. That's how I like my mashed potatoes. Let's taste for salt. Salt and pepper and horseradish. Let's see how it tastes. Wow, that's good. Thank you. Kelly, I think it was you, might have been Stacy, whoever asked for horseradish. That was a great idea. It gives it like a subtle tanginess. It's almost lemony, but not really. Not like, that doesn't sound good, potato and lemon. But it gives it a nice tanginess, and the garlic is great. So we're gonna put that aside, but we might add a little, if it stiffens up, we'll add a little bit more milk. But we'll deal with our steak and our spinach at the same time. And then it's all coming together. So, oh, I'm so happy with those though. I'm gonna have to make the rest before my kids come home because they will devour that. How hot is this? Pretty hot. More trivets, more something. Okay. So let's see how our pan's doing for the steak. If anyone needs a recap, let me know because we're doing a lot of different things at once. But this pan is almost up to temperature. All right, so we want a sizzling hot, plain pan so that that steak makes contact with it and starts to brown immediately. It's not, and if you're doing more than one, we're just doing one, but make sure that they both fit in the pan without touching each other so they don't steam, they'll brown, and you can get them in and out quickly. So we did this once before when we did pan sauces, which was actually great. And so some of the other tricks are, you don't want your steak to be super cold. It should be out of the fridge for at least an hour before you start. Whoops, I switched cameras. So again, so that you're not fighting the temperature when you try to start cooking it. You want it to be able to get hot really quickly. That's one thing. We salted it early so that the salt can sort of work its magic and tenderize it a little bit and get its flavor in there. And then a hot pan. So really a little time to warm up. Hot pan, salt, that's it, pepper. Mia says she likes the size of this stock pot. I think you mean the mashed potato stock pot. This is my absolute go-to. And I actually put a link to it in the description. I knew I was going to use that one. I wasn't sure what other pans I was going to use, but I can give you some information about it. It's an all-clad 4-quart stock pot, and it is great for everything. It's not too big, it's not too small. So I've had that probably 20 years, and it's been fabulous. All right, so I touched my steak to the pan. It is hot. We're for it. We're going to just place this in here. Oops, I don't like where I placed it. Okay, there we go. Like that. And hopefully this is hot enough that it's going to really sear, but keep it rare to medium rare on the inside. That's my goal. Okay, and now the spinach. So, here is our spinach that we cooked. The 2 pounds has become like a little over 2 cups of cooked spinach, and we want this to be finely chopped spinach. So first what I'm going to do is squeeze it. It's cooled off, hopefully enough to do this in small amounts. Okay, it's actually pretty hot. I'm going to not squeeze it. I'm going to continue to push with this spatula. That's working. Look, the liquid is coming out. That was too hot still. So we're going to push until it's pretty dry. So push it against, trying to like smear it up against the sides of the strainer to get the liquid out of it. It doesn't have to be as dry as it was for the spanakopita filling, because that would have made our dough kind of soggy. But in this case, we also don't want to water down the cream and all that good stuff. So, our bechamel sauce. This is pretty good. Hello, Kelly. Kelly, thank you for the compliments. She said I look nice. I appreciate that. This is way too hot to squeeze. Can I use a towel? I'm going to sacrifice my towel. This is clean. I've just been sort of wiping my hands. This is another way to do anything. If you were straining cheese, if you were, but you know, you're not going to use the towel again after this. But you will use it, but you have to wash it. But just put things in a towel and squeeze them. That's better. I'm able to do it that way. Okay. I have paper towels for my hands now. Okay. That was better. And I'm putting this now in my blender. So you can hand chop it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can put it in your food processor. You can put it in your blender. Any of those are fine. You know, it might be a slightly different texture. I like my cream spinach to be fairly smooth, but not really, really smooth. I don't want like baby food texture. So we're going to try to just do a quick blend. Maybe I'll even hand chop that part. All right, so if you see, once it pulls out of the towel, it's much drier. This is much drier. It's kind of pulling apart. That made a big difference. And then this one is a little cooler. I'm just going to squeeze it. This is 2 weeks in a row I've had my hands in here doing this. But, oh, I have to flip my steak too. But it makes a big difference when you're working with spinach. If you make spinach dip with that Knorr soup mix, is one of my favorite foods on earth. You always have to do this for that too. Okay, that part will hand chop. I have a lot of spinach juice there for smoothies and green juice and all that. I need my paper towels now for my pan. And my pan is smoking, which means it's time to turn this over. Using my potato tongs, let's see how it looks. Oh, it looks beautiful. There we go. Okay, so we achieved what we wanted here. We have a dark brown sear, and it's not, you know, it's still pretty soft in the middle, but I have to do this second side faster. I don't want to overcook it. Okay, So we have this little amount of spinach here that I'm going to chop to give some texture. You don't have to do this step. You can just choose one method, but I thought that would be a good idea. And I just go in all the different directions, and if you don't have a blender or don't want to use it, just do this for the whole thing. You can get it pretty fine. I'm totally blocking you with my setup of cream here. You can get this pretty fine with just a few passes of the knife. Okay. I think my steak is done. I like steak rare, so let me just sear this end fat cap. Yeah, just want to sear the fat on the side so it's not like raw fat along the edge. So generally you just hold it with your tongs and let it sit there for a second. And then we're going to let this rest. Let me get a cutting board. What do I have here? Nothing good? What do I have? This is like for a bigger steak, but we'll use it. Okay. That is beautiful. That looks great. So we'll let it rest. Perfect timing. And we're almost done. Was this confusing? Was it easy? It's really pretty easy when you do it in real life. Okay, we've used all of our cream and milk for now. So I'll put this over here. And we're just going to blend the rest of the spinach. So, like I said, hand chopped, blended, food processor, but just pretty briefly so you don't end up with total mush. So let's see, and I think we're going to need more liquid in here to make this work. All right, my burners are off, which is good because I will blow a fuse otherwise. I think the lid is in the dishwasher. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to have some cream ready to pour in here. I think it's going to need more liquid. Okay. So, I'm ready. Should I turn the volume down? I did that once before so that I don't break your eardrums. There we go. Yeah, my blender's like, I am not made for this. You need more liquid. All right, as long as that liquid is cream, then we're in business. Let me try this again. Okay, whoops, I didn't turn the volume. I never remember to turn the volume down the second time. So it's about half creamed and half still whole. Let me give it one more whir. I think I liked the chopping better. I don't know. I need to get a more consistent product with hand chopping. All right, I think it looks good. It looks not too fine. Like it still has some texture to it. And then I have this hand chopped bit, and we're going to add it all to our bechamel, and it will be delicious. Some people just leave it whole, but then I find that you're like eating pieces that are too long. So I know we talk about this sometimes, like before you start the recipe, you want to think about how do you want it to feel when you're biting it and that kind of thing, and it helps to plan out what you're doing. Oh, I have some questions. Thank you. Mia says her mom's favorite. Oh, good. Thank you, because I was like, I need some tips about this. Her mom's famous method to squeeze out liquids: place the spinach in cheesecloth and wind the ends of the cloth with 2 dowels or wooden spoon handles, which comes from years of making dumplings. That is great advice. So do you have like, in the end, I'm picturing it looks like a bonbon, like the middle is round and the spoon handles are like this, and then they're resting on something? Or are you like torquing it to get pressure? So that's gonna be one of those, like, I look back and go, oh, I look so confused. Like to keep creating pressure in the middle. That is a great idea. I'm gonna try that. Kelly says, what do you do for guests who all like different temperatures? Kelly, it's so funny that you asked that. Remember, I think we went to Roots together once, and we definitely do like different temperatures, and we were going to share something and then we decided not to. I think that's a good question though, and it's a fair question. Like, it's not everybody likes rare, not everybody likes well done. In the case of something like a strip steak, which really serves two, you could have some, you might need to buy like an extra one, but you have some that are one way and some that are another way. Same with the filet mignon, things that are more individual. If you're doing a roast, it's harder, but usually the end pieces, this looks great by the way, the end pieces are more well done and the middle is more rare. So I was once at a dinner party where it was very thoughtful, but like the host took an entire roast out of the oven, served the people who liked it more rare, and then put it back in the oven. But I just think timing is also an issue with a dinner party and trying to bring everything out at once. That's difficult to do. Okay, Mia says the answer to my question about the spoons is it's the torque, like you're twisting and twisting to push the liquid out, which is how cheese is made. That's why cheesecloth is so great for that. Interesting. Thank you, Mia. And thank you, Kelly. I hope that answered that question. Yes, like a spinach bonbon, Mia said. So like round in the middle with two spoons or dowels at the end. I love cheesecloth, by the way. I mean, I use cheesecloth for so many things. Strain yogurt to make actual cheese. Like if the milk is slightly turning, I mean not really turning, but slightly turning, you can make paneer cheese so easily, you know, and get a use out of it. Let's all just admire this for a second. This looks so good. And the one thing I forgot, I just realized, is the nutmeg. So let's taste it for, oh, look at that, it looks so good. It's like, this is how I like it. Like not too creamy, not chunky, not too like dark, and not too much like all white. I don't like it to be all white, like just cream. Okay, I'm very particular. Let's taste. It's fantastic. Kelly says, yes, I agree. More salt and the nutmeg. So Teresa, we were chatting during the week and she asked me like how, we were talking about the whole nutmeg from the gnocchi video, and she said, well, how does it come in the store? This is my own jar, but it comes in a spice jar like this in your spice section. So usually ground nutmeg is either the little short one or a tall one like this, and then the whole nutmeg comes in these jars as well. And it just is a little bit more potent and a little bit fresher. I'm going to use the part that we did not use for the lemon, so down here. A little bit fresher and a little stronger when you grate it yourself. So let's see, much less than we're using for the gnocchi. This was like a quarter of a, Charlotte told us last week, 2 weeks ago, that the nutmeg is a seed. So a quarter of that seed just went into our creamed spinach. Stir that up. And the flour and the milk and butter did a really nice job of thickening this up. So I am happy with that. So let's get our asparagus dressed. That's already together, and then we'll eat. And then I can't wait to do Steakhouse sides number 2 sometime. All right. The blender part was like moderately successful. I think it worked. It gave it like a little bit of puree to make it all green. Okay, and now we have these beautiful roasted asparagus. They shrunk down a little bit. I'm going to put them into their dish and then just dress them with some vinaigrette and our lemon zest. Oh, and I didn't chop the tarragon yet, so let's do that. Those look beautiful. they could have gone maybe like 2 minutes less, so 10 minutes, or maybe I left them because the the video shut down like right as the 12-minute timer went. So these are probably in for 14, and they look caramelized and nice. Oops, I missed my mouth. But they could have been 2 minutes less, so maybe a real 12 minutes would have been right. But they taste really good. I'm tasting it all in advance. All right. I'd say they have enough olive oil on them and enough salt. So I'm just pouring some of this lemon dressing over it. It's our lemon and Dijon mustard. Save the rest for salads. Just add a little olive oil. And then I'll sprinkle our lemon zest on top. Like that. And then we'll chop a little bit of tarragon as well. I already got rid of my knife, so hold on. It has some spinach on it. Oh, Teresa was asking me about knife sharpening too. We had so many conversations this week. So I think I'll talk about that at the beginning of our next video, if that works for everybody, because it's actually quite important. All right, a little bit of fresh tarragon is gonna be so good. Oh, it has such a nice smell. Tarragon is great with chicken, it's great with many things, and it's very springy. All right, we don't need that quite that much. Maybe I'll put it in our dressing for later. But look how beautiful this looks too. Yay! It has a nice freshness to it. Okay, let's cut up our steak and let's eat. So I'm gonna flip this over and just brush it. I have all my trimmings over here. Give it a flip. Get these things out of the way. Okay, and bring out our steak. This had a chance to rest. It feels like it's going to be medium rare, so that makes me happy. I think we talked about this once before, but if you poke right here, your loose hand is rare, slightly closed becomes medium rare, up to like a tight fist would be well done, so you can feel, you can compare how the meat feels to figure out. I'm finishing this video and I'm so mad. No, I'm not, I'm fine. But I'm sorry that it is cutting out like this. Let's plate before anything else goes wrong. There's one of you here. Thank you for being here. We're going to put our New York strip steak on our plate. I can't just leave you. I'm determined to finish this, finish what I started here. And I love you all. Thank you for coming back again and again. I love you. This is amazing. Okay. Our beautiful New York strip steak. Okay, it is rare, but I like that. Obviously, if you don't, you will cook it some more. And we're going to put our 3 sides. I'm so mad at it now. It's still saying it's interrupted. I have to work fast. All right, let's quickly put our 3 sides. We have our beautiful asparagus. We're putting some of these. Okay, I'm gonna work really fast. This creamed spinach that I absolutely adore. Yum. How should I plate this? Probably not the way I'm doing it. Okay, a little bit of that. And our mashed potatoes, which are over here, and they are so creamy and delicious. All right, we have everything on the plate. We actually got to the finish line, like barely, but in 1 hour, it's been 1 hour and 10 minutes, but we've had some issues, but we made all of this. Nothing was even started before. So sometimes if something has a time jump, you know, I make one to pull out because otherwise we would just be sitting here. But this was all accomplished in 1 hour. So I'm proud of us. So let's just take a look. It looks green and fresh and delicious and so yummy. And now I'm just gonna taste it. So quickly, I'm afraid to like I'm afraid to lose you again. Let's taste the steak. It's amazing what salt and pepper can do to a steak. I mean, that's all it was salt and pepper and some high heat. That is so good. Okay, I highly recommend that. I hope you can see there's so many things here. Let's try our garlic horseradish mashed potatoes. Those are fantastic. Thank you for that request. They're so good. The horseradish almost adds like a sweetness. It's sweet and tangy, creamy. That is so good. Okay, and our creamed spinach. Okay. That is also delicious. Okay, that is creamy. It has those nutmeg flavors. It has the grassy notes from the spinach. There's perfect texture. I'm very pleased and I'm very happy for your requests, and we have so many more requests like I already said in the beginning. So we have our next Steakhouse episode planned out already, and I can't wait to do that. Probably not next week. We might go a little bit simpler next week, but we will do it. Maybe there will be at least 2 more. Dial this back a little bit, but it was fun. It was not difficult. We had some issues throughout, and it's really delicious. So I hope you will try any or all of these dishes. Kelly said amazing stuff. Thank you, Kelly. And let me know if you do, and if I can share your pictures like we did today, I would love that. And thank you everyone who's left. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone who was here in the beginning. I am Coco Huff, COCOHOUGH. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are so inclined, because my goal is to move this whole operation over there, which I think maybe will be more stable. I'm hoping, because today was anything but.